Toastmasters in the kitchen provides a supportive and positive learning experience. Build confidence, communication, and leadership skills while exploring the world of food and cooking.
So today we're going to talk about everything we need in our pantry to prepare a meal whenever we need it. This will not only save you money, save you time, people that are working on their health issues, keeping what you need in your pantry is a fabulous way to make sure that you're hitting all your micronutrients without too much extra effort. So every day your pantry plays a role in what you're going to eat. And sometimes some people they plan their meals, they make spreadsheets and then they shop based on what they're gonna make for the week. I do not do that. I work with what's in my pantry, what's in my freezer, look at what do I have and what can I make from this. When you have just the basic ingredients all the time, being creative in the kitchen comes a lot easier. You can make simplified meals when you're in a hurry in the evenings. You just really don't want to stand at the stove. Have something in your pantry that you can eat from. So the benefits, as we said, you save money. A lot of things you buy in bulk will end up being less per ounce than if you go and buy a smaller portion every 2 weeks. Things like rice and pasta and beans, chicken broth, all those things will end up costing you less if you buy them in bulk, keep them in your pantry, use them often. All right, my core dry goods for your pantry. Grains, rice, pasta, oats. Okay, first of all, everybody has pasta. Even gluten-free people have pasta. Pasta in different shapes and sizes. Pasta is so incredibly versatile. If you get angel hair pasta, that literally cooks in 5 minutes. You can throw some basil and olive oil in there, maybe some Parmesan. Quick meal. Grains like rice, farro, quinoa. Those are grains that are hearty that you can do a ton with. Get your favorite rice and keep it in your pantry. Make sure it's a multi-use rice, like a long grain rice. Then you can either make stir-fried rice, you can make rice pudding, something to that effect. Don't be like some people that have long grain rice, short grain rice, sticky rice, black rice. You don't need that much variety unless you actually eat that. Don't be bougie like some people. Oats are a good source of fiber and they're heart healthy. And personally, for me, I absolutely hate oatmeal. Hate it. I know I need to eat it because I have high cholesterol. It's good for that. Here's the thing. I have two sources of oats. I have the regular uh, whole grain oats that are flattened, and I will not eat those, but I use them to make oat milk. Sometimes I use them to make, I add it to breads when I'm making breads. Sometimes I make oatmeal peanut butter cookies. I'll eat it that way, but I won't just sit and eat the oatmeal. The steel cut oats, however, I can eat those because they take longer to cook. There's a lot more texture. They hold a bite, and they are incredibly good for you. I only eat them once a quarter, but something to that effect. Don't keep stuff in your pantry you know you're not going to eat. That's a waste for money. Okay. But if you know that you can get some use out of it, it will save you money in the end. Making my own oat milk versus buying $6 bottle every other week, the savings adds up. So I use it in that respect. And remember, a grain can be utilized in multi different ways. You can actually make sweet oatmeal for breakfast. You can also make savory oatmeal. People always forget oatmeal doesn't have to be sweet. You can make savory oatmeal, savory oats. You can use farro and quinoa to make salads, or you can make a hot side dish. You can superimpose them in anything, and they're very, very versatile. Legumes, beans. I love beans. Beans are full of protein and fiber, super heart healthy. And I'm going to tell you that dried beans give you more for your money. Bag of dried beans literally are pennies on the dollar for the amount that you get and the use that you get out of them. However, always keep some canned beans for convenience. Some days I don't plan. Some days I have no clue what to eat. You can open up a can of beans. You can saute them with some herbs, some garlic, some olive oil. Just make a little side dish. You can add beans and tuna and chicken broth. Make a quick soup. Such versatility. And when you have these things in your pantry and you experiment with them, you learn more. Your creativity goes up. You can also take those canned beans, rinse them, and put them in a salad. Make a bean salad. You can rinse them off. You can actually add them with some vegetables, make bean burgers. So there's a lot of things that you can do with them. If you have a pressure cooker, you don't even have to soak dried beans anymore. They go from dry to cook in 50 minutes, and they're beautiful. If you have a slow cooker, throw a bunch of variety of beans in there. By the time you get home, you have a beautiful bean soup. It's just about having stuff in your pantry and making it work for you, being creative. You know your taste, you know what kind of seasoning you like. Beans love seasoning to take on anything. So don't be scared to have dried beans in your pantry. It will go a long way toward making a meal, making a hearty meal for you, making a delicious, gut healthy micronutrient meal. And same thing with dried legumes. If you've ever had Indian food, you had a little dish called dal. It's just red legumes. They cook super quick. Seriously, you can make a whole meal in 10 minutes. And if you throw some coconut milk in there and some broth, make yourself some soup, hearty, filling, super delicious, and nutrient dense. Flours, if you are a baker, this is a given. If you are not a baker, flour does play a role sometimes if you're frying stuff, if you need to make a thickener. Sometimes we all get in the mood, I'm gonna make some bread today. Flour does play a role in your pantry. However, if it doesn't have high turnover in your home, please make sure you store it in the freezer. It lasts forever in your freezer, especially if you're using gluten-free grains. Keep them in your freezer. Sugar, it's not just one type of sugar. White sugar, brown sugar, cane sugar, sorry, not cane sugar, date sugar, coconut sugar, monk fruit sugar. So many different types of sugar that you can keep in your pantry. And like we talked about earlier, when we have to balance our taste, but sweet, sour, salty, bitter, umami, sometimes you need a sugar component in there to help you balance out flavors in your meal. Baking powder, baking soda. I've never seen anybody that didn't have those. Baking soda, buy in bulk. Because not only will you use it to cook and bake with, you will use it as a cleaning product. You can use it to brush your teeth. You can use it as uh, deodorant to keep the wetness away. So baking soda actually has a lot more uses outside of cooking. You mix it with vinegar. You use it as a cleaning agent. You put vinegar and baking soda in your drains to keep them running clean and keep the smells away. Always buy baking soda in bulk.
Hmm.
Dear, and canned tomatoes, chicken broth. I always buy from Costco. And let me tell you why. We are all making our own chicken broth when we can, keeping it in the freezer. We love doing that. However, there are those days, again, you come in, you're tired, you need to throw something together. That chicken broth, you can just pull it out of your pantry and have that there. Also, canned tomatoes from people who are watching the sugar and salt intake, but they love pasta. You can make your own pasta sauce with these canned tomatoes, throw them in a pot, put some herbs in there, let it stew. You can have it chunky, you can blend it up. If you need more depth of flavor in your tomato sauce, take that canned tomatoes, throw it on a sheet pan, roast it in the oven with some onions and garlic. and then pull it out and puree. It will have a deeper umami flavor with it. So you can have a fresh tomato sauce, but you can have a deeper umami sauce. Things are very, very versatile when you know what to do with them. Things like coconut milk. I love curry. Awesome. You use coconut milk if you want to use an alternative in your baking and you don't want to use dairy. You can use coconut milk as coffee creamer, make your own creamer. Things of that nature, always keep in your pantry. I always have Jif extra crunchy peanut butter in my pantry, and I will fight anybody who says otherwise. But yes, peanut butter is it's got a lot of fat. It's kind of fattening, but it's also got a lot of protein. And you could utilize it as a snack component to increase your protein if you're working on protein needs. So almond butters, nut butters of that kind, keep in your pantry. I always have some jam because I don't like jelly, but you can make your own jam if you're so inclined. But things of that nature, again, just make a quick meal. You could use that jam, put it in your oatmeal in the morning, quick meal. You can also put peanut butter in your oatmeal. It's just about being creative with what you have. We've talked about beans. Tuna is another pantry staple that I always have. And StarKist makes those ones in the packets. And I'm telling you what, busy boss ladies like Jennifer throw that packet and a fork in your purse. And you always got some snack during the day. It's not a meal. I eat the tuna packet with the seaweed snack. It's literally 120 calories, but it will hold you over until you can get a proper meal. It's convenient, it's cheap, it's easy to take with you. So those are the things that I keep in my pantry that I utilize every day for a protein source as an additional snack. Flavor builders, and we always talk about vinegar. Vinegar is multi-use. Oils, whatever oil you want to use is your business. I always have olive oil and coconut oil and sometimes ghee if I can afford it. But those are things that you should keep in your pantry. Keep in mind that oil can go rancid, so make sure you're storing it properly away from heat in a dark colored glass to make sure that it stays as fresh as possible. These are the vinegars you need for everything: white vinegar, apple cider, and balsamic. White vinegar by the gallon, because not only will you use that for food and pickling and whatever, but you're going to use it as a cleaning product. It cleans glass so beautifully, doesn't leave streaks. Apple cider vinegar, I use it in my hair. If you have psoriasis, dandruff, eczema, I pour it on my scalp and then I wash my hair as normal. Vinegar dissipates, that smell dissipates quickly, but it helps to minimize itching and flaking of your scalp. Balsamic dressing, you can make a glaze. Balsamic works for everything. You put it on fruit. So these are the three basic vinegars. Don't be bougie and have champagne vinegar, rice vinegar, red wine vinegar. You don't need all those. I know I have those, but you don't need all those. These are the three that you need. These do everything you need it to do. And we're not even going to talk about spices if you see my spice cabinet. But I want to say with the spices, make sure that if you're buying ground spices, that you have a turnover. And when you utilize them, bloom your spices. We've talked about blooming spices in the skillet. Keep your spices together. So here I have my baking spices. I have my herbs here. Up here I have heat of my chilies. Over here, this whole top row is nothing but jars and jars of whole spices that I can ground up on my own. I prefer whole spices because I know that they'll stay fresher longer. I can toast them and really get those oils and bring them back to life and then crush them myself. These powdered spices, they are on the shelf for a long time before you get it, and then they stay in your cabinet for a long time. And that's the reason behind I like whole spices. And whole spices end up being cheaper. So you can get a whole bag of coriander seeds for $2 versus that $6 jar at the grocery store. Soy sauce for you, mommy. Everybody here knows soy sauce is one of our I and Erica's favorite things. It does a lot as far as enhancing flavor and adding the little bit of salt that you need in your dish. So make sure you have your soy sauce. And I know I'm over time, but the last thing I want to tell you is make sure you're using airtight containers. Make sure you're using FIFO, which means first in, first out. So when you stock in your pantry, make sure the stuff we bought today goes behind the stuff that's already in there, just to make sure you're using everything by the best by date to keep it as fresh as possible. Make sure you label things so you know what they are. Rice looks like other rice, but you got to label it to make sure if it's if it's basmati or jasmine, whatever, make sure you put labels on jars so you know what they are. And again, once you have a stock pantry, when you are reading blogs or cookbooks or whatever, you keep these things in your head so that creativity is already there and you can just see what you have in your pantry and how you can best utilize it for your taste. And with that, I will turn control to our Toastmaster of the day.
Join us as a guest at our next meeting. We can't wait to meet you.